China intends to beat the U.S. in head-to-head conflict. But long before their planes, ships, or missiles are thrown into action, this bomber will be the first Chinese unit to enter the fight. Armed with a wide range of conventional and nuclear weapons, this bomber, known as the H-20, is poised to give China a competitive edge in a World War III-style conflict. But what exactly is it? And, more importantly, how does it stack up against the U.S. B-2 bomber? The first rumors of the H-20s began circulating some time ago. As these rumors spread, Chinese academic forums and state media began hinting that a new strategic stealth bomber was in development. Over time, these hints became more direct, with state media eventually claiming that this bomber could be a game changer for China. But what makes this aircraft so special? And can it really live up to the hype? Although China is a nuclear-armed state, it has not yet completed its triad. A triad refers to the ability to launch nuclear weapons from land, sea, or air. China's military has had land and sea methods mastered for decades, but has yet to perfect an air launch delivery system until now. According to increasingly open media campaigns about the issue, the H-20 bomber is no longer just on the drawing board, but has had several prototypes made. The first concrete evidence of the H-20's existence came about in a series of videos posted by its manufacturer that provide a closer look at what the supposed stealth features of the H-20 actually are. The first interesting feature is its wing design. Although earlier models depicted a straight-up copy of the B-2, the newest models showed that the Chinese seem to be copying the Russians more than the Americans. This is because the hybrid flying wing with a blended body design lends the bomber to be almost part plane and part glider. This theory is backed up by one of the bomber's unique wing designs. On the ends of each wing, there are two tail wings that can transform from vertical to horizontal. The bomber has these features because the vertical tail wings can help stabilize the aircraft at high speeds. This is important because China has an experimental drone, the Hongdu GJ-11, that can perform long-distance reconnaissance missions by gliding. This factors into its stealth technology because if the H-20 can shut off its engines and glide during flight, it eliminates one of the few ways to detect a stealth aircraft: its heat. But the H-20 also has another feature for that. In a straight copy from the B-2 bomber, the H-20 has serrated engine exhausts. The purpose of these exhausts is to break up the hot air and mix it with cooler ambient air more rapidly to lower the aircraft's heat signature. The H-20 bomber sports these exhausts and keeps the engines deep inside the aircraft's body to conceal as much heat as possible. However, while these features are some of the outwardly confirmed ones from the test model, we can infer that the Chinese have incorporated their stealth technologies into the H-20. These technologies could include radar-absorbent paint, engines that produce less heat, advanced radars that can scan for other stealth aircraft, and other crucial technologies. However, China didn't develop these features independently. In fact, they obtained this information by conducting one of the most damaging cyber heists in American history. In 2014, the Chinese military had one goal in mind: close the technological gap between the US and China quickly. While the attack probably took years of planning, Chinese cyber attackers carried it out over a 6-month span. During this time, they targeted every branch of the US military and every major defense contractor, including companies like Northrop Grumman and Boeing. How the Chinese infiltrated American networks is unclear due to the sensitive nature of the strike, but the damage the attack caused is well known. In all, China stole more than 620,000 classified military and defense industry documents, or about 50 terabytes worth of information. But it was not just the amount of information that was stolen. It was what these documents contained that was truly damaging. Among stolen plans were schematics for the F-35 and F-22 fighters. These state-of-the-art stealth fighters included new 5th-generation technology that China has struggled to develop on its own. Chinese hackers also obtained information on single navigation systems, nuclear submarine designs, anti-air missile schematics, and hundreds of thousands of passwords used to further exploit DoD systems. Essentially, this was the greatest intellectual property theft in the 21st century and gave life to the H-20 program. Before this theft, the Chinese had a quote-unquote stealth bomber in the H-6, but in all reality, it was more like a conventional long-range strategic bomber. However, within 2 years of the theft, China was working on a stealth bomber that it could have never designed on its own. But while China may have stolen the blueprints for many crucial stealth technologies, it still has to implement them. So, have the Chinese really been able to replicate the B-2 bomber? Due to the highly classified nature of the H-20 program and the absence of verified working prototypes, little is known publicly about the H-20. However, we can infer from some of what China has said and what we know about the B-2's capabilities. According to Chinese military aviation researchers, the models in the manufacturer's mock-ups are probably pretty close to what is actually going to be made. This is because China released similar videos for its J-20 stealth fighter, and the models were replicas of the real-life aircraft. With this inference in mind, we know that the H-20 has 4 engines, adjustable tail wings, a curved body, and a hybrid design between the American B-2 bomber and the experimental Russian Pak-DA bomber. As far as claimed capabilities, the Chinese military has not stated an exact operating range. But the U.S. military said in 2019 that the H-20 will likely have a max range of at least 8,500 kilometers, or just under 5,300 miles. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the distance from Tokyo to Los Angeles in one go. This is lower than the B-2 bomber's max range of 11,000 kilometers, or just over 6,800 miles. But there is a caveat there. Both of these ranges are on a single tank of gas, and this is an area where the U.S. and China differ greatly. For decades, the U.S. has been conducting aerial refueling operations with the KC-135 and other similar aircraft. As a result, conducting aerial refueling is a routine and easy operation for American pilots. This is not the case for China. China only recently converted some of its H-6 bombers to have these capabilities. Additionally, China has a limited number of tankers. Its primary tankers are about 10 to 20 converted H-6 bombers. These numbers pale in comparison to the nearly 400 KC-135 tankers the U.S. operates. Not to mention that Chinese pilots have only begun experimenting with refueling operations in the last decade. Because of this, even if the H-20 has the same range as a B-2 on a single tank of gas, the H-20's ability to conduct worldwide missions like the B-2 is very low. But while the H-20 might be outmatched by the B-2 in this regard, the race is much tighter when comparing weapons. Because the B-2 is America's primary heavy bomber, it can carry a lot of different bombs. For its conventional bombing role, the B-2 can take off up to 20 tons of ordnance. These conventional bombs include Joint Direct Attack Munitions, GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Predators, 80 GBU-39 Small Diameter Bombs, and the AGM-158 Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile. With such a massive pile of ordnance, the B-2 is equipped to carry out targeted carpet bombings of an area, pinpoint precision strikes, and deploy deep underground complexes. But that is not all that the B-2 can do. In addition to its conventional payload, the B-2 is also capable of delivering several types of nuclear bombs, including up to 16 of either the B-61 or B-83 nuclear bombs. While the H-20's armaments are less accurate, the bomber could be very powerful if all the claimed capabilities are true. While estimates may vary, some sources claim the H-20 can carry as little as 18 tons of bombs and missiles, while some say up to 45 tons. The exact number and type of weapons the bomber can field are also unclear. However, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists believes that the H-20 will be equipped with several nuclear-tipped air-launched cruise missiles. Although little is known about the kind of weaponry the H-20 will carry, it is without question that no matter what, the bomber will pose a threat to U.S. and allied interests in the Pacific. But just how much of a threat will the bomber be? China obtaining a weapon system even remotely similar to the B-2 bomber will undoubtedly change the dynamic in Asia. At its most basic form, the core of the U.S. strategy is to contain and then defeat China in the so-called First Island Chain. These islands are the chains that make up the South China Sea, including the Spratly and Parcel Islands, among others, and the man-made islands China has been fortifying for 20 years. If this were to fail, the next goal would be to keep China contained before the Second Island Chain, which includes Japan and the Philippines. In the event of a war, China seeks to destroy all U.S. forces in the First and Second Island Chains and prevent reinforcements from getting close. The H-20 will undoubtedly play a huge part in this strategy. The reason for this is surprise and violence of action. If the H-20 could carry twice the payload of a B-2 bomber, squadrons of H-20 bombers could sortie and blow up crucial U.S. bases in Japan, South Korea, and potentially even Guam. With its extended range, the H-20 could be a valuable weapon to keep U.S. forces at bay, since it is not unlimited despite China having a vast ballistic missile inventory. With the H-20 available, Chinese forces could use it as a long-range strike weapon to destroy U.S. formations long before they reach the Second Island Chain. And, of course, all of these assume that the war is still conventional. Even though the H-20 might be a stealth bomber, it will not be as sneaky as the Chinese may have thought, thanks to the depth of the U.S. and allied defense. All throughout Asia, the U.S. Army, Navy, and Air Force have robust surveillance and collection efforts that could spot the H-20 aircraft before they reach their target. For example, real-time satellite imagery and infrared sensors can alert U.S. forces about H-20 aircraft takeoffs and landings. Once in the air, powerful arrays like the U.S. Navy's spy radar systems can track the H-20 long before it closes the coastline of Japan or South Korea. In addition, its conventional tanker forces would be a high-priority target to shoot down. U.S. forces could also allow Chinese tankers to rendezvous with the H-20 and shoot them down together. All told, there are many ways the U.S. can counter the H-20 if and when it becomes operational. So, while it is a very potent weapon, it is not some unkillable boogeyman that the Chinese media makes it out to be. Bye for now.